You got him cheap, huh?
We got him cheap. Hi, Dad. This is the Method Actor Speaks, and today I had to get my face in
I'll
here
give him some of mine.
because I really want you guys to meet these three talented actors.
John, when's this going on today?
Yes, this is going on today. It's shooting right now. And I want to tell you, we have three talented actors, three gifts, really. And I'm really happy to have Tom Bauer, who's a member of the Actors Studio, lifetime member. And we have Carmine Caridi, who's, from The Godfathers. And we also have the talented and wonderful, we have Mae East, alias JOYCELYN. And I just had to get my face in there, folks, because this is too good to be true to have these three people in here.
Well, you sure you can use the camera after that?
All right, now that I introduce you guys, the reason why I really wanted all three of you here, we're going to talk about the work, but it's interesting because I was talking to somebody about, I might have brought it up to you, Tom. When Carmine does a movie, like The Godfather, they say it's called violent film. Now, when Tom does a cowboy movie or something like that, it's called episodic.
Yeah.
Now, when JOYCELYN does a movie, who, by the way, did one of the longest scenes in Kung Fu with David Carradine, it's called action films. And it's all violent, but it's different, yours is violent, yours is action, and yours is episodic. And yet there's killing in all of them, and violence, sex, everything. And it's just interesting if you ever thought about why it's that way. It's an interesting subject.
Yeah. Well, John Ford Noonan said soap operas are Shakespeare without art.
Well,
Because they involve all the same things: sex, violence, lust, greed.
right. There you go. Yeah, that's John Ford Noonan.
Yeah.
He was the
Is he
first.
still alive?
Yeah, he calls me every once in a while.
He's not living in
He's
Manhattan
in
Plaza.
the actor's home in New
Well,
Jersey.
say hello for me.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, me too.
yeah.
He's the first guy that wore the hat backwards.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Vinny
right.
Mamana says hello to you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where is he?
He's somewhere in the valley, but he quit. Just stopped. He has a
I
whole
was
family now.
wondering about him.
I should tell you too, Tom. Carmine asked me on the phone. He says, "You only have Italians on the show?" Because
Well, that's what you said.
No,
Is he
no.
Italian?
I'm the honorary Italian.
and she is too.
Oh, yeah, because we discovered spaghetti,
Yeah, right.
That's right, they did.
That's right. He did. That's right.
That's
And I
right.
got
I
this.
thought it was Gary Cooper.
Marco Polo.
That's right. And I got the gravy cooking. We'll have a little Yorkies afterwards at the break if you like.
Not me.
You can't eat it, huh?
I gotta taste your cooking.
I can
No,
stand.
I'll wait for you. But I have diabetes.
So we want to do a few of them. Let's talk about. I had Tom on your show. Tom, everybody wants to see it.
Even my ex-agent called me about that show,
Yeah.
which is unusual.
We're talking
'cause
about the work.
He could care less about acting.
You were talking. You started off with Lee Strasberg, washing the toilets and stuff
That's
in New York,
right.
in Actors Studio.
My friends told me to quit acting.
Excuse me.
My friends told me when they saw mine, to quit acting.
Good acting.
Quit.
Quit acting.
Yeah.
But
Well,
what was that like?
I didn't start off there, but I started at the studio.
Right.
Doing that, cleaning toilets and going for whatever Lee Strasberg wanted, sit and play his knee,
Everything
And-
but sex.
waiting for him to tell me what he wanted, But I learned a lot sitting there watching.
And what? All three of you have been around for a while and worked in the industry. The difference in the acting today, as it was back when you started, like Carmine. Have you seen the difference in the work?
I hate the business now.
Really? Why is that?
Because you got a bunch of young kids who go to school and think they know how to do a movie or how to cast a movie, and they just, get on their looks. There's not a lot of ability behind the camera, I think, today. That's it.
Do you agree with that, or?
I don't have that problem because I work with a lot of young people. I created the low budget contracts at SAG when I was on the board, so I
Right.
support those low budget contracts by working on them.
But
That's not my problem. My problem is with the money people. They're they're not movie makers anymore.
Right.
They're bean counters of different kinds. They could care less what they're making. They could be making sweaters for all they
But
care.
when I talk to my friends' acting class, sometimes I give a talk. I said, anybody here who can't take this appointment, quit now, walk out the door.
Oh, yeah, rejection.
I said, if you don't get a part, it's not because you're not talented, it's because they prefer somebody else's talent. That's all it is. No actor is better than the other, we're just different from one another.
Well, today I think there is a lot of politics in it too. And JOYCELYN works all the time, and I was asking her, how do you get all these jobs? And what did you say to me?
Well, if you can act, I think people will trust you and then they'll call you.
Yeah. Actually, I'm working with her this Friday.
Oh, are
She's
you?
very talented.
Talking about politics, let's talk about Godfather 1.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of the audience really that didn't see the first interview would probably like to hear that. But because as people don't realize, he was the first choice for Sonny in the Godfather movie. And then they gave it to Jimmy Caan.
Even got paid for not doing it, didn't you?
What?
You even got paid for not
No, I
doing it,
didn't.
didn't
I
you?
didn't claim. I just disappeared. My friends, my family were crying, upset. I said, I'm an actor. I got to keep on going. And
Right.
I was so like Jerry Orbach called me doing Dan that couldn't shoot straight. Joe, you're the luckiest loser I've ever seen in my life. I kept working. They kept coming after me. I never took interviews. I never put Jimmy down so I was bad. I always praised Jimmy because he's a
Right.
wonderful actor and he did a good job
Yeah.
in that movie. It's just one of those things. When you're an actor, you got to take those bumps. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's guys like Bob Evans that shouldn't be producing. And guys like that who are, you know.
Shouldn't be producing?
No, he's a phony. He's a phony. And I hope he sees this.
Oh. That's what's good about this.
But no, for 25 years, he's telling everybody, I wanted Carmine. Then I read his book. And he tells Coppola, says, I hired Carmine Caridi. Jimmy's not Italian. He says, no. He says, I don't want Mutt and Jeff on the screen. That's me and Pacino, right? I told Coppola, for instance, you tell that jerk, I would have shot $1 if every Italian family had a tall son and a short son in the same family. I mean, excuses around, excuses. No, they wanted Pacino, they got him, Jimmy had to move somewhere into Sonny, and I was out. My wardrobe was all measured. I had, talking to the makeup man, Smith, they were throwing parties for 3 months all over town, the gangsters, everybody, celebrating. I quit La Mancha, and then Bobby Duvall calls me up one night, I'm at the theater, I'm upstairs before the closing act in La Mancha. He says, did you say anything? No, I said, no. I said, well, Letty's talking to Jimmy about Sonny. So he gives me Coppola's number and I call Francis. His comment, I don't know, at this point, I don't know who's going to play the Godfather, but the whole thing goes to this. It was Brando. And Brando's trying to make a comeback. Not that I'm not half the actor Brando is, but my friend Phil Forster, the comedian,
Right.
did a movie with Victor Mature called Every Nook and Cranny. He says, Victor, you're in that crowd. Find out what happened to my friend Carmine. Comes back the next day. He said, when Brando heard that Carmine was bounced, he said, that makes my job a lot easier. Because my stature, my height, and he'd want anybody that looked remotely overpowering him in stature, not in acting, That was it. That was it. And my friend Freddie Caruso was the production manager, was in watching the screen tests. And as soon as I appeared on screen, said a few words, Puzo jumped up, he says, that's the guy I wrote about, that's Sonny Corleone. Just on his feet, So there's not opposition to it, but Brando, he called up, Evans said, Pacino is a loner, so is Michael Corleone, he should get the part. And he turned Evans' head right around.
It's interesting when you say that Brando didn't want people, and that was very big in the business. You had that. If you were too tall, I remember I was up for a Beretta, and they had said, Blake won't work with you because, they didn't say to me, they said, Blake won't work with him because he's too tall.
Pacino's like that. Pacino's like that, exactly. Johnny Depp was like a fan of mine. We did 21 Jump Street, back then we know each other. He came into, and two of my friends were in the office with that jerk-off casting guy, whatever it was. And he says, can Carmine Caridi be in this film? No, Pacino doesn't want anybody older than him. Older than him, sure, taller than him, And Dusty Hoffman's a very dear friend of mine. Don't care if you put an elephant next to him. He don't care. He loves to act.
That's interesting, Tom. I mean, you've been around, and you know, a lifetime member of the Actors Studio. You've been around all these people that we're talking about, and it must be really interesting. Before you answer that, it's funny. It's the comfortable actors, the really good actors who have the talent, are the ones that are comfortable with themselves, and don't really have that ego problem. They really. It was like they didn't need an entourage around them.
Maybe it's partly chemistry. I love Pacino. I've worked with him for 44 years.
Right.
I love him because of his passion for acting.
That he has.
He only cares about acting. He could care less about clothes, cars, food, whatever. He loves acting.
Yeah.
And I love the process of working with him, and I think he picked it up from your guy, Lumet, the idea of
That's my favorite.
rehearsing.
The thing about, we used to hang around Jimmy Ray's all the time.
We all did.
So what happened was, I was sitting there with Pacino one night, and I said, I really wanted to play your brother. He says, I really wanted you to play my brother. Because he was very fond of Jimmy, They gave him a hard time on that first film.
Yeah.
They ignored him. He almost got fired, He was a loner. What happened was, after Brando died, and you see Pacino sitting looking at the grave, that's what sold him.
Yeah.
He was so good in that scene,
Yeah.
and he's a wonderful actor. He's, he's just so good.
Well, he is dedicated, and he loves the theater, and he gives back.
Well, then
He does Shakespeare with a Bronx accent.
At the same time, he's scared.
Yeah.
At the same time, he's scared because
Well, we're all scared.
taller than me, older than me, and for instance, they were doing a package of Turui, this company that he belonged to. So he walked into Jimmy Ray's, and I wanted to audition. I said, Jimmy, Al, can I? No. He says, no, it's a deal. We got the whole crew. He's nervous. So Billy Devane, I love Billy Devane. He's at the second bar, and he says, come here. That midget don't want you next to him. He's a midget.
That's Billy. That's Billy.
And so the thing, I said, I don't care, but I like Al, but you know what? As you know, Jimmy Ray's, it was like AA there. At one time, everybody was drinking.
Right.
And I saw George C. Scott.
Everybody had a tab there.
I know. You know what? Billy Devane had a big tab.
Yeah.
So when he started making money, he went to Jimmy Ray's. Jimmy says, forget it. My gift. Jimmy was so good.
He was a good man, Jimmy.
He was a tough man, too.
Yeah.
He was a sweet man, but he knocked 5 bounces of P.J. Clark's on their ass in one night. He was
Yeah,
drunk.
everybody did.
Boom. But I'll tell you one thing about that crowd of P.J. Clark's. We all liked each other. We all were not jealous of each other. I didn't see that. They were just Ralph Waite. Ryan. What's his name?
Mitch Ryan.
Mitch Ryan. And then the guy who died, who burned himself in the park.
That was Richard Lynch.
Richard Lynch.
Oh, Dick Lynch, yeah.
Now that scene, one of the best movies I ever saw was when Gino goes into a catatonic state. What was the name of that? With him and
Scarecrow.
Him and Gene Hackman.
Yeah.
That scene when Richard Lynch beats up Pacino. It's just frightening.
Yeah, Richie and I became really good friends when he saw because his first starring role was the 7 Ups, which was the real cops who busted me, that I went away for in real life. And so it was funny when we met, and he's talking about that. I said, those are the guys that I went away for. They got me in the Bronx.
Well, I don't know. It's just.
He was another good actor from the studio.
Who, Dick Lynch?
And before
Richie
He
Lynch.
was supposed to be our greatest classical actor
I was gonna
before
say he
he
could.
immolated himself.
After he burned himself in the park.
Was it on purpose?
Yes,
Burned
he set
himself.
himself on fire. He was on an
But after
acid
he did
trip,
that-
and he was protesting the
and-
Vietnam War.
And here was a guy that was so
You
good,
remember
so
him?
good
You
looking.
remember he had his whole face
Really
burned.
fine-looking guy,
I
Shakespeare.
didn't know he was his
Beautiful.
brother.
Yeah, whoa, God.
Yeah.
He did a movie with his brother. I never knew his brother was an actor until
I just
Met
met
him
him
at
at
the-
his memorial.
at the memorial.
Yeah,
when we
right. I didn't know him either.
I never did.
But he
know
was
that.
funny, too. He always had a great sense of humor, Richie. I love
He
him.
really did. Yeah, we hung out. We used to go drinking together over in what's that on Santa Monica Boulevard in Beverly Hills? Dantana's
Yeah.
and
yeah,
good
yeah.
food. Well, let's get JOYCELYN. I know you're in.
Yeah.
No, I'm interested.
I know,
Oh,
I
she
can
is?
see
I'm
that.
sorry, honey.
No, I mean, I can see that. But now, your type of acting. Now, she's getting ready to go on a show, what's that? It's on Shameless.
Oh,
She's
I like
got
that
2
show.
days. Yeah, a lot of people like
Yeah.
that. It was
My
a
wife
British show.
watches that constantly.
Yeah. And she does, and doing stand-up comic now. And, but your
Really,
training,
That's the most courageous thing in the
I
world.
think so, I think so.
oh,
That's the toughest thing you
That's
could
really
ever
I did
attempt.
a set last Thursday at
Did you? Where?
Flappers. Flappers
Yeah.
in Burbank.
Yeah?
You did?
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
I do a takeoff on May West, it's May East.
it's called May East.
What's your name, honey?
That's great.
First name?
JOYCELYN.
Joy-
It's this one like Marilyn.
Yeah.
Cher.
It's-
No, I'm just kidding.
JOYCELYN.
You want to give a little bit of it?
Before you go do the show.
Come on, nobody can hear you there.
I don't want you to hear it.
You're on TV.
I started out by saying, is that an egg roll in your pocket, or you're just glad to see me?
Right.
Isn't that a banana?
No, egg rolls. I mean,
It's
she's,
Chinese, it's kind of a takeoff.
Right.
Do you really get hungry an hour after you eat?
Yeah, that's one of the things I say.
like,
I'll do it.
and Tom you've been working a lot lately. That's why.
You know, for a couple of years, and there's still stuff waiting to come out, waiting to be released that I'm very positive about, but it's slowed down a little, you know?
How do you prepare? How do you guys prepare for your roles? Like when you were preparing for Sonny, how did you go about that? And it's the same
Let
with
me tell you from the
all
very-
three of you.
Let me tell you from the very beginning for a second. I had a apartment down the village, and my sister Nancy Avros-Reno called me. Come on, I just read a book called The Godfather. They did the movie, You Gotta Play Sonny. She planted that in my head. So then all the meetings with Coppola came about, and I went up to, who owned Paramount at the time?
Bloodhorn.
No, the name of the.
Gulf and Western?
Gulf
Gulf
and
and West,
Western.
okay.
Yeah.
So I go up there on 659th Street, and my picture was on the top of a big pile. He says, my father's name is Carmine. I said, I know, it's good. So first I did a small kinescope with Tony Lobianco, me and Bobby Duvall. Now, then I get my first screen test on 125th Street. He still kept pushing Pacino, so it's Pacino, myself, and Duvall. It was so good that the crew stopped and applauded us. I mean, you know, the guys working around me. I mean, we just hit it. And that's what did it for them, for me. Because I came from left field. He knew he wanted Bobby in the part. So that was it. So, and then the history goes on, you know. They didn't want Pacino, then they wanted Pacino, then Jimmy had to be in the movie.
How did you prepare for that role, though? I mean, was it just memory from the neighborhood?
I grew up with a bunch of.
So I'm saying,
you know, and I.
Was there any particular one that you looked at and said, well,
no, I just put them all together. You see, a lot of people don't know that Dons and gangsters are very
Right.
classy people, some of them. I mean, they're
the old days,
the
yes.
old days, you know. And I took one of my uncles, and I took two, there was a guy named Joe Piney, who was a consigliere for them, had a bar on 2nd Avenue. I used to do errands for him, you know, and I watched him, and I wanted to see him. I talked to various guys. I just put them all together. And I'm an instinctual actor. See, I don't plan, you know, I just get and I do it. The lines, you know, that scene when he tells Pacino, that's the scene we did for the screen test.
right.
It's when, you know, you gotta walk up and boom, you gotta shoot him right in his face all over your Ivy League student. You know, that's the scene we did. So the thing, you know, I love Jimmy's performance, so, but the one thing I'm gonna say is that he did little things that were, you don't do, an Italian doesn't do that, you know what I'm trying to say? So, but it was wonderful. So I don't know.
That's a good point, because if you're not Italian, you wouldn't pick that out.
Right.
No. He picked it out. It was wrong. That
No,
he
I'm
picked it.
just saying, if you're not Italian, you wouldn't
You
know
wouldn't-
that that's...
You wouldn't notice
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And then I saw flaws in Bobby Duvall's performance, trying to act Italian.
Yeah.
Although he was an Irishman, he was adopted by
Right.
but he did a lot of things. I mean, I don't know how I play. I'm instinctual. I don't know. I see what the situation is and I play from there. That's all.
It's true. It really is. It's funny because when we talk about people, when I did Ruby, I'm the guy behind the note that shoots Kennedy. And I had to walk over there, and I'm thinking, now how do I walk over there? What am I doing?
Did I meet you on Ruby?
You might have, yeah. And you know who I thought of? I always remember Henry Silva as mother,
Yeah,
Ah, it's wonderful.
and that walk that he had.
half full of rain, yeah.
He had that
Yeah.
walk.
He was great.
He had that walk. And so all of a sudden that just gave me this whole life of mother, And
Yeah.
it's just, that's what when I was asking you.
Sunshine, you want to sit there?
No. Is there any, that's what I was trying to, any of the roles you've done, have there been any characters, either the two of you?
I'm working on something now for the studio, a play about Henry Gibson. And a story about the woman that he exploited to model Nora in the Doll's
Is that
House
the
after
actor?
an actual person.
Right.
So to become Henry Gibson, besides gaining a lot of weight and mutton chops and everything else, I'm reading a 500-page biography that tells me everything about his life, and I really need to. I'll let these
I'm sorry.
guys.
No,
take
no,
it.
no, I'm sorry. Forgive me.
Go ahead.
No, Tommy, I apologize. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Sure.
No, I wasn't anything, just, it was a cute little thing. I
Yeah,
apologize.
Go ahead.
Okay. Let's finish, yeah.
But anyway, you really have to read the complete works of what he wrote if you're going to pretend to be somebody like that.
Right. And especially if you don't know them, right?
Right.
But have there been parts you played, and then you substituted them for people you
Well,
know?
no, you start taking in so much of what he was about, what he said, what he wrote. You start to feel like him.
Well,
You don't have to force yourself to do anything.
I was telling you in the car, I'd be watching a movie and I'd see a terrific character. Who is that? All of a sudden, that's Tom Bauer. He's so wonderful in those disguises and his acting ability. You know what I'm trying to say? I mean, who's it? Tom. You notice an actor you're watching.
Oh, he's a brilliant actor, and he gave me the biggest compliment when I did the Black Dahlia.
Yeah, Brian De Palma.
Yeah, I mean, beyond that, I was shocked.
It was a
just-
presence. I don't know if
Yeah.
you saw it, Carmen.
Yeah.
But there was a presence about him that made him more real than all the people pretending to be that guy.
But I didn't recognize you, Tommy, until I looked at you and I saw you and I said, wait a minute, and you get surprised by yourself. You're watching a movie. It turns out to be a friend of yours.
Well, JOYCELYN, when you did Kung Fu, David Carradine,
Did you
you
do
did the...
Kill Bill or
No.
Kung Fu?
No, the Kung...
The
with
series?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she had the longest scene.
Yeah.
I had the biggest part ever written for a girl in that.
You had a running role?
No, it was just this huge guest star part. It was
Yeah.
very traumatic. It was my dad died, I was pregnant. I mean, all these things happened to me. It was a huge.
And how did you go about preparing for that?
Well, I get into it and I really feel that it's happening at the moment. And I think you have to go with the reaction. Acting is reacting. So you can't do it by yourself. Whatever you get, you have to give it back to the person you're working with. I mean, you can't really plan how you're going to react until you feel it freshly from what they're giving you. Because you can't overdo it. What if someone says, how are you? But if you go, it's like you have to do it straight. But if they're got tension or mad or something like that, you're going to react totally differently. So sometimes I think people in their mind, don't just circle your part and then you have to realize that you're working in a scene and it's got to be related to the person that you're working with, and that's so important. Because so many people go, oh, I know my part, but do you know how it's going to come off depending on the other person?
Did you have to do martial arts in your character?
No, but I've done a lot of martial arts films, so I've taken some of that,
Yeah.
Did you ever Jackie
in
Chan?
theirs. Yeah, I did a movie with him.
Oh,
I was in his first movie in San Antonio, The Big Brawl. Played a hooker. It was typecasting. No. It's like falling off a log.
No. Not a hooker, not you.
Well, it's actually, I don't do hookers, I do call girls. Because for some reason I don't have that hard hooker look,
Yeah.
I tried it once, and I said, I'm gonna play this hooker part, and I put on this really sexy dress with a slit up, and I go in there, and I look like Shirley Temple compared to these ladies that had the penciled eyebrows and the ratted hair and the worn out faces, and I was like, I don't think so.
I had David Lynch say that to me. He says, "You're not evil enough to be one of my characters."
Really?
So he hired J.E. Freeman. You ever know J.E. Freeman?
What movie was that for?
It was for Wild at Heart.
Oh, yeah, that one.
He says, "You're not evil enough to be in this movie."
I worked in Lost Highway with him, and I did a pilot with Harry Dean Stanton. But I like, there's a director who you don't read for.
No,
he
you
just picks
meet him.
pictures. Joanna Ray was the casting director. I don't know if she
I
was
was
still.
talking about her today. She cast a thing that Bob Rafelson directed. She's a great casting.
Oh, she was married to Aldo Ray, the actor.
Really?
No, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
that's
that
it.
right?
What's her name?
Yeah,
Joanna Ray. She's Australian.
yeah,
But she was married to Aldo Ray.
Aldo Ray.
Wow.
You know, my idea is Chenoweth. What's her name? Ellen Chenoweth?
Yeah.
She cast for Barry Levinson when I did Bugsy.
Yeah.
And the way she did it was, she told us all before we got there, we're gonna be on film, tape. So Bobby Costanza walk out, no, tape, no. Guys walking out, no tape. So I come in, I said, "You gonna tape me?" She said, "No." We all had the same speech, the one that Ellie goes there. So, okay, now I'm gonna tape you. In other words, she wanted to see how you handle those words, you know?
Uh-huh.
And then she just gives all that thing to Barry,
Yeah.
and he makes a decision off of what she says.
Well, that's what
Watch the tape.
Joanna Ray did.
And he says to me, "Would you like to play, I want you to play Frank Costello in Bugsy." I said, "But he's 5'7", I'm 6'4". I said, "They'll never know in Ohio." Which is true, you know, I mean, Arthur Hiller, I spent an hour with him for the in-laws, interview in Malibu. I had my Borgenstadt, I had my cotton pants, beard, cigar, you know, we're talking about an hour. Never read. So 4 weeks in, I get the part. And we're sitting on 7th Avenue between 33rd and 34th Street in New York. We're sitting in our chairs. I say, "Arthur, how did you know you wanted me?" I didn't read. He says, "Let me tell you something. Everybody that comes to see me is very, very talented. I just wanted to see if I could work with you."
Right.
I mean, what a great
Yeah.
way to cast, you know? What a nice man he was.
But what I finished with, that's what David Lynch just looks at pictures. I want this, I want that, and I want that. He takes it for granted you can act, and
Yeah.
he trusts Joanna
Oh, yeah,
Ray, which is a big compliment to
Yeah.
as an actor.
Well, casting people used to have that kind of power.
No more. Yeah, that's a little.
Marion Doherty, Joanna Ray.
She hated me, Mary
Jennifer
Doherty hated
Shaw.
me with a passion. No,
But that is gone, and a little. Now all of you have been involved in that,
Yeah.
the casting, and we're going to do number 2 on that.
They would
If you
narrow
just-
it down to 2 or 3 people. They didn't have to bring
Excuse
in
me,
a
let's
Let's
cast.
just hold up. I'm going to give you